Well, well, well. Here we are. A Sunday, another beautiful Sunday on God's green earth. And we're without our fearless leader. It's the Well Below Average podcast, but it looks a little different today. That's because it's just my guy, and I've got to remember being on this camera now, Nick Nepic, alongside me, Roy White, and our buddy Adam Ish he's left us. It's really sad that he's gone. And Nick, if you have anything to say while he's away, please step in and say it.
It is disappointing and upsetting the way that something it's been so common for so long, and we lost it for a time, and now it's come back, and unfortunately Adam went with it. And so we do miss him, but we'll try our best. We'll try our best.
Yeah, he's let the inmates run the asylum, so to speak. We don't typically do the production side or the really any of it. Adam takes care of all that stuff. Nick and I just show up, turn on our microphones, and go. So we'll see how this show goes, and you guys can tell us what you think about it. I got to get the link out at some point. So that's first and foremost something Adam would take care of that we're already missing him for. But we can at least start the podcast the right way by giving a shout out to our fantastic sponsors. Local Menace, of course, fantastic streetwear brand here, Dallas, locally destined on a mission to destroy your wardrobe. And you can check out their fine work on all social media platforms, as well as going to localmenace.com. They got great stuff, great streetwear brands, great logos and things that can make your wardrobe look really, really sharp. Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. And to go with that sharp wardrobe, a cup of coffee from Rodeo Coffee, which is out here in Fort Worth. So we got both sides of the Metroplex covered. Locally roasted right here in DFW. You can find them Thursday through Sunday. They've got a coffee truck out in the Walsh neighborhood, which is right on the border of Aledo and Fort Worth. They've got all sorts of coffee. They've got plenty of ice drinks for when it is so hot outside. Which is all the time now. But check them out Thursday through Sunday, 7 to 11:30. They are very active on their Instagram, so go follow them there on Instagram. Again, that's Rodeo Coffee. But yeah, I could definitely use some coffee, Roy, but it's so hot. It's miserable. I don't know about your house. My AC unit literally can't keep up. Like it is, we have it set to like 78, and it's just constantly running because it's just so hot. It cannot keep up with it.
We have a story. You know what? See, this is the great thing about the pod and you and I. Like I got a couple of stories that we'll talk about that I think we'll have a good laugh on. But that's when we can jump into. Have you heard of this story in Texas of thermostats being changed by the power companies without consumers' consent?
No, I haven't seen this. No.
Well, perhaps you might be a victim of it. Apparently, those with Nest thermostats, right? I mean, we've all got the email, and I got the email from my utility company to ask me to conserve energy, but they didn't force me to. And while I attempted to be quite fair, like I didn't really change the thermostat in my house. And I had friends telling me that they were going back and forth on their thermostat on an hourly basis, making a change, and it was changing back without them doing anything about it. And it comes to find out that apparently in the agreement that you make with those Nest products, and it's not just the Nest one, but with those products, the power company has the right to scale it back on you if they need to conserve.
So I guess any of those smart thermostats that you can access from anywhere, be it your phone, computer, as long as you have some sort of connection to it. The ERCOT, classic ERCOT, not ready for the summertime, asking us to conserve between like 2 and 8, basically every day of the week. I will say we keep our thermostat, we keep it in the high 70s when we can. We keep the fans on. We try not to run like the major appliances. So we do our part. But who knows? Maybe we're not really changing the thermostat or keeping it this high because of our doing. Maybe Big Brother is watching and doing it, without our consent, which would be the course for how things have gone. So, I hadn't heard that, but I'm not terribly shocked, unfortunately. Yeah, right now I think our AC is set to like 78, and my daughter is in that room behind me trying to go to bed, and her room with the fan on is like sitting at like 80 degrees, and it is just, I feel bad for her. We're trying to make her sleep, and she's just not having any part of it. But that is life in Texas in the middle of the summer, where we all just slowly melt, and eventually, maybe a month and a half from now, it'll be a little bit cooler. So, did you happen to notice this past week when it was like 90, how much better it felt outside? Like just 10 degrees or 15 degrees.
It was unbelievable. When it was 85, I was begging my wife. I was like, we have to go outside. We have to take the kids for a walk. We have to go do something. Because when the weather's like that at this time of year, it's so unexpected, and it lasts for so little time, right? I mean, here we are talking now a day and a half later, and we're back up to 105. I can't believe how bad it's been. And by the way, salute to you for keeping it up around 78. Do you normally keep it around that temperature?
No.
Okay.
Well, so
what a great citizen
daughter,
you are, man. I'm a selfish bastard.
I mean, what does your thermostat typically sit at?
So we have, not bragging, but we're in like a skinny tall, right? So it's a condominium. We share a couple walls. And so we've got 3 floors. And when you have 3 floors, in order to keep the AC from running constantly, you have to set them at different temperatures, right? Because heat rises, you actually need the top floor to be a little bit warmer than the bottom floors. Otherwise, they'll be constantly running. So my top floor is set to 73, but my bottom floor is set to 71 because you go a temperature increment or 2 between. And we run the fan at night because that's what we need to keep from sweating in bed in the evening. Yeah. With one comforter, by the way, like ditched the sheet, ditched any additional blanket. Like it is a 1 blanket situation in my bed.
Oh yeah, and my wife and I, we actually do the separate blankets. We do our own blanket, same bed, but I sleep with a weighted blanket, and she hates it. So we do separate blankets. But sometimes I find myself like, you got the one leg out. I mean, you're doing as little layers as possible while you're trying to sleep because it's hard out there. Now at night, once the sun goes down, we'll crank it down and we'll get it pretty cool in here. So that really helps. Like it gets pretty cool throughout the night, and in the morning it starts to get warmer. But I wouldn't know what it's like to have multiple floors. Now, do you have somebody that sets it for you? Well, because if you're downstairs, like you don't want, like, do you have somebody that works for y'all that stays up there that their job is to keep the top cool and y'all handle the bottom? I have a 1-story house. Like I'm not privy to how the life of someone who.
Well, so we have all 3 floors, right? Like when I say skinny tall, our basically our garage and like a small library is downstairs. You take the stairs up, the middle floor is the living area. This is where the kitchen and the living room are. And it's, again, not super wide, maybe about, 15 to 20 feet wide. And then you go up another set of stairs, and that's the 3rd floor, right? So we're not coordinating with anybody else other than just setting it ourselves. But
no, I was mostly just throwing a joke at you that we live in a normal 1-story house, and if you have 3 floors, like you must have to hire somebody to keep. I had to
correct that. I have to make sure that when I say there's 3 stories, it's a skinny tall, right? And I pay an HOA, so I don't even have the advantage of. Yeah, trust me, if I could pay somebody to take care of this home, I wouldn't be broadcasting in the furthest corner of my home.
Now, do you
if I could show it off to you, I wouldn't be broadcasting this corner.
Do you mow your own lawn?
No, thankfully, no. HOA does take care of that because we pay $250 a month.
Golly.
It's
oh my gosh.
absurd, dude. It's
Oh,
absurd. So, a little bit about us. That's Nick Nepic. If you never met him before, of course, great radio professional. We both work together at the Fan. I'm Roy. You can find me on social media at RW3. You can find Nick. Nick, give him the Twitter
just
handle.
at Nick Nepic on Twitter.
Bingo. Hit us up, man. Tell us what you think of the show. We'd love to hear your feedback if you got any out there, and when and where you're watching this thing. Yeah, what you think about it. So we usually dive into news, and Adam does a great job of, pulling together stories and things from all around. Sometimes we go political, sometimes we go blue, and I kind of wanted to start with something not in the political realm. This one I just found to be funny as I read the details of it, and I'm interested to know if you know anybody who's experienced this personally, Nick. Because I do know somebody,
Okay.
and I don't mean to like make light of it, but I think when you hear the story, you're gonna laugh. So, headline out of Utah: man charged with exposing himself at Utah State University by taping explicit images on cars.
Okay.
So, a California man was charged with exposing himself and leaving pornographic images on students' cars at Utah State University. The offendant, Anderson Bektemba Barnes, a 44-year-old, was charged with 2 counts of lewdness with prior offenses, 2 counts of distributing pornography, and possession of a firearm by a restricted person, both of those being third-degree felonies, and then a slew of misdemeanors as well. The police had him on several incidents, including one on June 17th, when one USU student reported a man, later identified as Barnes, watching her as she removed a note taped to her car, according to the police booking affidavit. The paper contained pornographic images and sexual messages. So he's like from a distance, right? And that was the first thing I thought when I read this headline. I'm like, did this guy just like leave a flyer on a car and then leave? Like, what is
Yeah.
he getting out of that? You have to, I mean, if you're going to do that, and I'm not trying to get inside the mind of somebody that is doing that, but I'm going to do that right this second. Like, isn't the pleasure in watching someone's reaction to that?
Yeah. That has to be it. What's the interesting, maybe not interesting, but this guy, like from California, well above college age, picked a specific college campus. Like, does he live there? I want to know the background of how he narrowed in on Utah State of all places.
Well, that was in the summer, right? June 17th. On that same day, police reviewed campus security footage and saw a man entering university property around 10 a.m. He's seen walking up the stairs before dropping his pants, exposing himself. But it doesn't say whether he's exposing himself to anybody in particular, right? He just like walked into a building, dropped his pants, maybe ran out. The second incident occurred about a week later on June 25th when a different student reported seeing a man at a bus stop exposing himself, though she said she wasn't certain because she was driving by. Police reviewed campus footage and reportedly seen the man taking off his pants and putting on some underwear. So that one, like, I don't know. That one maybe he's just getting undressed. I've gotten undressed in public. Maybe I shouldn't be so laissez-faire about that.
I
myself.
mean, we've all had those times when you got to get rid of the pair of underwear you're wearing. I mean, you've got something happen. Maybe you dirtied it up a little bit, and you need a quick change. You can't, you're not going to get on the bus like that. You're not going to get in your friend's car like that. You don't want to be walking around like that. So maybe in that instance, you've got an extra pair just in case of emergency. Throw them on real quick. Give them the benefit of the doubt there. I mean, maybe that's what it was.
And I would have given him the benefit of the doubt, if not for the fact that the very next day, the same student that saw him exposing himself at the bus stop reportedly saw the same man exposing himself as she walked into a campus building. When she got out of the building, she found a note taped to her car that included the pornographic image and text with sexual references. The cops reviewed the security footage. They saw the man reportedly tape the note to the student's car, and then he went and defecated under a tree. nearby.
That the fact that all was on security footage is
Yeah, right. Like
pretty good.
they got the whole picture of the 44-year-old
Yeah.
Mr. Barnes. So finally, he eventually was arrested by police on July 3rd when they identified him as the man matching the description in the surveillance videos. Of course, they found him at a bus stop, and when they found him, they found a plastic bag with about 10 folded papers with the same pornographic images and text containing the note left on the student's car. So, pretty open and shut case. They also found a 9mm handgun, which makes it a little bit more,
Yeah.
a little bit more cringe. Man, my sister had someone jacket right next to her in a grocery parking lot.
Like the car parked next to her?
Yeah,
Or?
like guy pulled up about 2 spots next to her, and she was out waiting for, her husband, and he pulled up about 2 spots next to her, and she didn't look over, right? Because you're just in your phone, you're in your own world,
Right.
and she kind of looks over, and he's like staring at her, just cranking it next to the window.
Man.
Yeah, she was pretty horrified, and obviously she like zipped out of there. Now, since then, she's probably, she's come to like laugh about it a little bit, but even then,
Right.
I almost tell her like, dude, you don't. I'm shocked you can laugh about it, because that's like one step away from clown throwing you in the back of a van type of thing.
No kidding.
I tell her that.
That there's some horrible people in the world, but also like that's just to me, there's some weird people in the world, like whatever they're into, for entertainment, or that guy. I mean, it's whatever, man. It's definitely, it's weird. It's gross. What I'm curious about is, why were there so many incidents of this one man in the same campus? Like, why did it take so long?
I know, right?
Find him. It was just like day, week. I mean, spread out over half a month, basically. And they finally got him. Yeah, real weird thing.
Yeah, that first incident was the 16th of June, and they didn't actually catch him until the 3rd of July. I wonder if they scoured campus footage, how many more videos they'd find of this guy running into buildings, streaking through the quad and into the gymnasium.
If you streak at like a sporting event, I mean, is that like a big fine? Like, do you happen to know like what the punishment would be?
I mean, public nudity, lewdness. I mean, that's what he got charged with, right? The lewdness part, I don't know what type of sentence that comes with, but he did get charged with 2 felonies. I mean, granted, the the predatory aspect of it was also a little bit shocking.
Yeah. Now, if I go to the Ranger game and I run on the field, like, more than likely I'm never getting to go back. I am probably banned for life from Globe Life Field or wherever it is. But will I get charged? I mean, would someone get charged for something like that? Do you happen to know that answer? Yeah.
100%. Yes. Not only are you getting banned, yes, the ban is not where it ends. You are definitely facing police charges. Now, whether felony or misdemeanor is, different, I think, depending, right? If you just go on the field, if you just disrupt the game, not even as a streaker, you're getting charged with a crime.
I don't know. Maybe that just seems surprising to me. I guess, I mean, it shouldn't be, but because you never know what someone could do. But the majority of the time, those things are so innocent. Just some guy, running around, he gets tackled and taken out. But, it could always be way worse.
It's pretty innocent. And that's why, in general, it sounds like lifetime ban from the stadium that you're in, because that's probably, and depending on what you do right now, if you're a fan that goes out there, tries to hug a player or something like that, then whatever. Maybe it's a little bit lighter of a sentence, but in reality, it's probably a criminal trespass charge,
Yeah.
banned from the venue, and maybe punishable by 3 to 6 months in jail. I'm guessing that's now that's probably not what you're going to get, right? If it's your first offense,
Right.
maybe a slap on the wrist, a little bit of probation, some community service, and you're out of there. But you're definitely getting charged.
Well, I'll cross that off my plans next homestand.
Yeah, avoid that.
Definitely won't be doing that. Well, glad this guy got caught, so we don't have to. People in Utah don't have to worry about seeing a man expose himself at bus stations.
People of Utah are a little bit safer. The students of Utah State are a little bit safer now, thankfully. I want to do this texting compatibility thing because I think it might lead to a lot of other stuff. But first, I want to do something that I don't often do. Like that is praise law enforcement. And I'm standing here not saying that I'm anti-law enforcement in any way, right? But I think law enforcement in general has an extremely difficult job. And in order to do it well, you've got to have a moral code, an ethic code, and you've also got to be incredibly brave and prepared, right? We've seen here recently, not to get into deep into the Uvalde stuff, but we've seen recently that you can have a badge and a gun and it doesn't mean you're worth a damn as a cop, right? And typically I'm on the side of calling out police that I don't think are doing the right thing, because one bad apple can ruin the whole batch. But in this case, this Houston police officer did exactly the right thing in my mind, and he still might get screwed for it. So a Houston officer saw a man officer's name Sergeant Kendrick Simpo, later saying that he felt like this is what he signed up for. Thwarted a potential mass shooting at a Texas mall earlier this week. Well, not earlier this week. The story is kind of coming to light earlier this week. The incident happened at the Galleria Mall in Houston on February 5th, and the officer tackled a man who, at the time, not 100 yards away from a child convention that was going on at the Westin Ballroom. It was a dance competition. Hundreds of kids between the ages of 6 and 16 that were hanging out at this venue, right? Simpo, the police officer, spotted a suspect, later identified as Guido Herrera, about 200 feet from the Westin Ballroom entrance. And surveillance video shows that Herrera was wearing a shirt with the Punisher logo on it, carrying a rifle in one hand, a Bible in the other, and wearing a leather mask with spikes on it. Now, Nick, if you're a police officer, having no training whatsoever, right? If you're a civilian, if you see a man in that garb, Punisher logo, Bible in one hand, assault rifle in another, and a leather mask with spikes on it, what do you think that gentleman is fixing to do?
Not anything good, especially near a dance competition filled with children, and I am immediately extremely uncomfortable and very nervous if I see that person.
So Simpo admittedly was also nervous. And so as a police officer, he made a quick decision. And knowing he was outgunned, right, by a rifle, knowing all he had was a handgun, he made the decision to holster his weapon because of the fact that he was so close to this student dance competition. So he decided to holster his weapon and bum rush the individual, whom he eventually was able to overpower, getting the gun to point up at the sky. He pinned him against the wall. The guy was arrested. as he was arrested, not only did they find the assault rifle, but they found 120 bullets on the man as well. But here's the thing. Because of the fact that Herrera never fired a shot in this incident, he was simply charged with a misdemeanor. And the police officer was put on a leave for a short period of time while the case was being settled. Now, again, I'm not one who is typically praising police officers, but in this instance, I think that police officer did absolutely everything that he should have by the book. And if I'm a parent of any of those kids, I am thanking that man up and down for what he did. And yet, no shots fired means the guy just pays a ticket.
And correct me if I'm wrong. I read most of this story. And he was working as a security guard at the mall, like in a second job. Like, so he's a police officer. He wasn't technically on duty as an officer. He was working as a security guard at the mall to, I guess, make extra money. And it was in that role when this happened. So, like, on top of the fact.
Yes.
Yes. So on top of the fact that he was put on leave, this guy's already, like, and again, I'm not going to say anything bad about law enforcement, but it's a lot easier to criticize than it is to applaud them most of the time. This guy's already having to work a second job because his first one can't support what he needs for his family, his life. And he makes a split-second decision, which we know that if you don't make that decision, all it takes is 5 seconds. However many shots that guy can get off, that's however many lives have now been lost. And if he doesn't make that decision, maybe that happens. But if he does, and let's say, I don't think this is the case, but let's say that this guy was going to do nothing. Either way, 10 times out of 10, if my daughter is somewhere and anyone sees anyone like that walking around anywhere near where she is, I want them to do the exact same thing. I don't know why. Like, I don't even know why it's a question, or like how it could even end up to where it's just a misdemeanor, because there was no shots fired and he was just walking around. Like, there has to be some sort of common sense. Is that the right way to put it? That, this wasn't okay. That, first of all, it wouldn't be okay even if there wasn't a large event full of children so close by. But second of all, like, that has to play a factor anyway. The officer made the right decision 10 times out of 10, and unfortunately that it hasn't been talked about much, and hopefully it is in the best way as we go throughout this gets further, because it could have been a whole lot worse, and glad good thing that it wasn't, because we obviously, as we talked about at length, that happens way too often in our country. Mass shootings, horrific acts of violence, and we need less and less of those. And by the way, he didn't even fire his weapon. So, like, for the people who say, like, we don't need him killing someone to prevent killing, he just restrained, subdued the man, got rid of the weapon, and no lives were lost, which is ultimately, the best case scenario in a situation like that.
Yeah. Not only that, best case scenario for sure from his actions, but also the fact, Herrera, what's really crazy about this story is it follows up with the fact that after he was charged, right, a month later, he showed up at the Houston FBI headquarters asking to meet with the director of the agency. In that same incident, he had a gun in the car. Although, because no shots were fired and he didn't point the weapon at anyone, he was again just charged with a misdemeanor. So that's the safety we get from having guns on the streets. Feels good knowing that guy's out there and just not breaking any crime, not breaking any laws. So just scare the hell out of folks in your area, and no big deal. That's
Right.
we're having a good run, Nick. We're having a damn good run. Well, let's talk about texting compatibility. And this is going to get maybe uncomfortable for the two of us
Okay.
because we're going to evaluate one another's texting etiquette. You're going to hit me with the real. All right.
All
Is
right.
there a relationship between your texting etiquette and the relationships that you have? Do you need to be intimate with your partner from a texting standpoint? Do you need to have a particular style and understanding with one another to be able to make a long-term relationship work? This study came out here recently that says those who don't communicate well in terms of their texting expectations, it finds that they do have a tougher time having long-term relationships. Now, I just wanted to relate it to, hey, do you hold it to different standards for different folks? Like, I
Mm-hmm.
used to be of the expectation that if someone didn't text me back within a couple, within an hour or two, I was getting left on red. And now I am the person that may not text back, that day. And I'm not doing it because I'm trying to ignore you. I'm just doing it because that's how busy it gets these days, it feels like.
You know, I think I tend to side with you there. Like I used to be much more like you got to text me back. I will say the person that doesn't text back for like a like if it's Sunday night and I don't get a text back until like Monday night, if we're getting like to the 24-hour mark and it's something more than just like a casual, we're in the middle of a conversation, but if I have like a question for them or it's like I'm sending an initial text to start a conversation and I don't hear back and it's been more than 24 hours or about 24 hours, I'm pretty frustrated by that. Now you said the word etiquette. Does this study also bring up like I text differently with you than I would my wife or
And yes, that's
okay.
another part of it is like there's different layers to your relationships, and that the expectation that you and your spouse have to one another is certainly going to be a different expectation than you might have with others. Plus, you might be more apt or willing to use emojis with your
Yeah.
wife than you would with the fellas. Although for me, I have no shame. Like I will emoji with anybody. I'll emoji you, I'll emoji me, I'll emoji my mom and dad. No shame about it. No qualms. Although I used to think it made things more clear. Now I think it makes messages less so.
Now, somewhat related, you can share this if you want. Is your wife's name in your contacts just her name? Like when she texts you,
No,
is it just first?
no,
Okay, me neither. Me
I
neither.
don't want to tell you what it is because it's gay. I mean, not gay, but I don't mean that derogatorily, but I just mean that like it's
Yeah,
soft.
yeah. I won't. I'm not going to say mine either, but mine's the
Uh,
same. And her contact is the only one with emojis in it. In all my contacts, everyone else is just a name. Hers is not. So that's way different as well. Obviously, but the way that I would say with my wife, like if she doesn't text me back pretty quickly, I'm immediately like, okay, what's wrong? Like, what's going on? What happened? And she's the same with me. With other people, I've become, less so like, okay, they're ignoring me, upset. But I definitely talk differently. Like if I'm not using maybe exclamation points when I'm texting with, my wife about something, or if I respond with just like an okay, she's like, "Are you mad? Like what happened? Why are you being so serious?" And so our texting relationship is much different than it would be with just a casual friend or any other person. And I would say that you can the person, certain people, you can carry a conversation really well over text. Other people, not at all. And it makes it difficult. Here's another question about your texting etiquette. Are you the person to send, one long message or like a bunch of small messages in a row, like as you have thoughts?
Long one.
Me
I'll type
too.
out a long one.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I in college, I like dated a girl for a little while, and she did the multiple messages in a row, like 4 or 5 small messages, and it would just drive me crazy.
See, there you go. Right? That's a
Yeah,
perfect example. Like, she could have been the perfect woman for you at the time, but her text ability drove you insane.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was. Now, do you make any phone calls? Or are you strictly a text person?
I've always preferred to text. I think it gets people a little bit sooner. But if you have something urgent, I'll call. If I have something super urgent, I will call. In general, though, I don't use the call feature because the only calls that I get are about my car warranty, and I
Yeah.
have no interest in renewing or starting a car warranty. I didn't even know that I was eligible for a car warranty, but apparently, Nick, I don't know about you, dude, but I have like the best car warranty rating in the world because
Yeah.
everybody wants to give me one. It's insane.
From all over the country.
Even for cars
Even,
I don't own. It's
yeah.
amazing. And I don't know how they do it from a new number every time too. But by the way,
Yeah.
I'll say what mine is. It's lame. Mish baby. My wife's name is Michelle. I got her in there as Mish baby.
Now, does that go back to y'all's early dating days, or?
It does. It does actually. That's funny that you asked because I called her baby, and she was like, "I hated any dude ever calling me baby before you," and I
Wow.
called her that, kind of like teasing her. She was like, "I don't hate it," so I was like, "Okay, well, you're baby from now on." Don't call her that now, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that I'd call her that every now and then.
Just to keep the spark alive, right? Um, yeah, I'm just thinking about like all my texting or any weird habits. One thing that I do that my friends, my wife, they hate. Other than I have a group text with like my best friends from college and then my wife, I delete all of my texts. So like my texting
Whoa,
inbox is completely empty at all times.
whoa, dude, that's bold. No, I haven't deleted a text, man. I'd be interested to tell you what my oldest text is. Um, yeah,
Like
bro, it's insane,
as far as you can. Let's see if we can. We'll
dude.
even let
I
you get
don't.
to the bottom.
Oh my god, my oldest text is from 2017.
5 years ago.
I have a text in here from Dave Raymond. Let's see. Mark Schlereth, September 14th, 2017. My AC dude. Yeah. Good times, man. Damn.
Man,
Forget stuff.
I
What's your oldest?
I have 2. So like you don't have an iPhone, right?
You have 2.
I have 2. So like on the iPhone, you can like have the little bubbles at the top, and it like saves the conversations. So I have one with my wife, and one with my group text of college friends, and then I have 3 in there right now. So your text from earlier about the show, and then 2 of my buddies who texted me just a few minutes ago that I haven't had the chance to delete yet. So I just deleted
Man,
yours. So now there's just 2 in there.
I respect it. That's clean. Anybody that can keep that stuff cataloged, like, good on you, man. Because I fear the day. I have nightmares about the day when, like, the storage capacity for all my devices, like, becomes not enough. And I have to start picking and choosing stuff to delete because
Yeah.
I have no idea where to start. And I'm sure text messages are a huge one, but maybe not. I don't know. Man, we always do a little sports thing on the show, but it's kind of like a dead sports period. I mean, I was gonna like hilariously ask you about the Drew League because I found out about that for the first time. I know you're an NBA basketball guy, so maybe you had some insight there. Apparently, like LeBron went off in the Drew League, and it come to find out it's
Yeah,
like washed out players or like guys who are like desperately trying to get into professional basketball in some capacity. And he went and played and like gassed them up. He scored 42. He
yeah,
was a headline on ESPN. And I'm like, it's he played pickup basketball, right?
yeah.
Am
And
I crazy
the
here?
yeah, no, you're not. I didn't pay attention to this at all. I just saw the headline. I kind of rolled my eyes that like highlights were coming out on Twitter, but I guess that's what happens when, you know, the best player over the last multiple decades now does something like that. The Blazers did win the Summer League championship today, so that's even less significant.
Summer League is
Um,
kind of blown up over the past, like, I'd swear, I feel like it's come out of nowhere, but over the past maybe 2 or 3 years, maybe it started, I feel like it maybe started with Zion when he was drafted and
mhm.
everybody was like, let's see what he's doing in Summer League. Um, but I just, Nick, I feel like it's come out of nowhere to be like this phenomenon now where now, like, hey, Vegas is like a destination. Go watch Summer League.
Yeah, I think what hurts us here is that we have a team that doesn't value or care about young players or the draft in any capacity. So like they never draft anyone. They're like, ooh, we need to see how they're doing in the summer league. Maybe that's a part of it. I could care less about it, to be honest. As I have gotten out of sports as a job, you have to pick and choose what you want to consume, and football, NFL is far and away the highest on my list. NBA, after that. But as far as like off seasons, summer league, I do not care. I'm
No
really
time.
counting down to training camp. I'm excited for NFL training camp. I think it's a really fun time of the year, and we get into the preseason of the NFL, which is also my favorite avenue to casually get into sports gambling. Although I would never do such a thing, but it is my favorite thing there. So sports wise, there's really nothing going on. I mean, MLB All-Star break's coming up. I think my wife and I are going to go to a Ranger game in a few weeks. It'll be the first game I've been to as a fan in forever. Excited to see some air-conditioned baseball and just kind of hang out for a little bit. So that's really all that's happening in the sports world right now.
Yeah, man, that AC has been the MVP for the Rangers this past couple of years,
Yeah,
man. That has got
yeah,
people out of the ballpark for real. Like, it's increased their average attendance by like over 6,000 people a game. So
wow.
it's legitimately made a difference for them. So that was a good investment, like a lot of people said that it would be. So that's damn good for the Rangers to be doing all-star game, MLB home run derby. Like, people, you have to talk it up when you're on sports radio like you give a shit, but I don't, and no one really does. You might remember that Pete Alonso is one of the last 2 years. You might not. You might even not know that he won it at all. You might not know who's won it at all the last couple of years. But home run derby coming, training camp coming. We'll definitely get into that, man. I can't wait for a little bit of training camp. Well, with that, we also have another staple that we even have an intro for. And again, as I'm operating the production side of it here, we've got a little video to get you prepped for what comes next. It's Nick Hates It. Yeah.
Well, you got it. You nailed it.
Boom.
This is something about myself. So I've talked a lot about being a dad the last year. I've become a dad and all the things that change with that. But one of the biggest things that has changed about me, and I've really started to hate it. Today is a good example. You start to change your habits, whether it be sleep, whether it be entertainment, whether it be what you do with your free time. Something that I've changed though is something that I consume, something I never used to like. I really honestly thought I hated it, and now I've come to enjoy it, and I hate that about myself. And this is a very I feel like white suburban dad thing. So maybe I'm just fitting in with my my target group here. Roy, I've got to admit, I've really started to enjoy just an ice cold, just Diet Coke, just a classic plain old Diet Coke. I got one today. I was driving I stopped in the gas station, just got one out of the fridge there, and just enjoyed it on the way home. And I don't know what changed. I used to hate Diet Coke, never would touch it. I liked a regular Coke. I'd even drink a Coke Zero, but in fatherhood now, I have come to love just an ice cold Diet Coke. Me and all the 45-year-old soccer moms enjoying just a Diet Coke, and it's soft, it's lame, it's a bit embarrassing, but in the past 6 months, I've started to really enjoy it.
Now, did this come about because this was a recommendation? Well, a lot of times people shift to diet to lessen the sugar intake or lessen the caloric intake, right? Are you doing it for one of those particular reasons? Or you literally just woke up one day and you're like, this tastes better? Because that I know is not the answer.
No, that's not true. So, I mean, I always would drink like Coke Zero. Like I enjoy Coke Zero, no sugar, no calories. But my in-laws love Diet Coke. Like those people that just love it, almost like worship. There's like the person that like worships at the altar of Diet Coke. That's kind of them. And so anytime we're with them, like every once in a while, that'd be the only soda that they had. And I don't drink a ton of soda, but every once in a while, you want one. And so I think the last time we spent a week with them, I tried one. I was like, this isn't bad, and it's no calories, no sugar. I kind of like that. And then I got another one. It was pretty good. And now I'm not drinking one every day, but if I'm walking into the convenience store and I pop open the soda fridge and I got my choices, I'm Coke Zero I still really like, but I'm reaching for the Diet Coke option, or I'll even do Diet Pepsi. I'm not going to discriminate. But I remember the days when I could just drink regular Dr. Pepper, regular Coke, Mountain Dew as much as I want. Didn't, affect the waistline. Didn't really bother me at all. These days you got to watch out for that kind of thing. And so that's a small part of it, but I've just come to enjoy the taste.
Are you seeing it make a difference? Are you feeling it makes a difference?
I don't drink enough of it to say yes or no. Like I don't even drink soda every day. I drink a lot of coffee, so I try not to double up the caffeine that way. But I got my water here. I still drink a lot of water. But when I'm going for a soda, like my first choice is probably Diet Coke. And it's like, 2 or 3 a week, maybe less depending on the week. But it's something like my whole life, I hated it. I never would drink it, didn't like it. And here we are.
Yeah. My dad grew up in North Carolina, so he was always Pepsi. He was in the Pepsi Coke wars. My mom was Coke, he was Pepsi, and he always went Diet Pepsi. And he does all the diet drinks, like diet anything is solid. Man, maybe that is dad life. It's also responsible life because I just still am so selfish that I'm like I want to drink the tastier of the two. And
now, are you a big soda drinker?
I mean, not a soda a day, but a soda probably every other day. Yeah, 3 to 4 a week. And it's not always caffeinated. Sprite, Coke, ginger ale will work its way into the mix. I love a good ginger ale. But man, I dread the day when I'm into diet. Honestly, I don't want that. I hate that. I hate that for you. But I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I mean, hey, if it works for you, take it to the bank, baby.
It's not bad. It's not bad. Maybe it's just a phase. Maybe it's just a phase. But here we are. So that's something that I had the realization today as I was driving home. That's changed. That I've changed in what I consume, and here we are. So I'll bring. We'll see. Like once I get into like football season on Sundays, like I'm typically drinking beer usually while I'm watching the NFL. We'll see it. Like usually I transition out of that and I'll do like a Coke or something. We'll see if it sticks then. Like I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do a regular Coke or am I gonna stick with the diet? I don't know. I'll keep everybody updated on that part of it.
Well, I'll be interested to hear how it's going, man. Well, I think our first voyage without Adam was a decent one, a success. We didn't completely crash the ship, so
It could
that's
have
a
been
win.
worse. It really could
Admittedly, there was a period in there where you were having a conversation, and I think I full framed myself a la
I
this,
did. Yeah,
just with
yeah.
my reactions to what you were saying. So maybe that's the way we can continue to do it going forward. And I don't know if I prefer this or this one. What do you like? I like this one a little bit more than I like this. This is too close, man. We're
Yeah,
too
I
close.
think I'm with you. One thing I learned,
Ooh,
a
that's
few
good.
things I learned in radio is that when something goes wrong, you just keep going. You just act like nothing happened. And so that's what I did. Just keep talking, go with it, and it'll figure itself out. So, shout out to you for doing the production and handling that. And I think we made it okay.
Well, shout out to Adam for making it look easy. Brother, if you're listening or if you're watching this, enjoy your vacation. We'll handle business next week as well while you're out, and then we'll welcome you back. When he gets back for training camp, what a timing bastard there, Nick. He gets to come back when like the content's all super easy
I know.
because we got football stuff going on. So you and I, you know what? Screw that. We'll do football next week. We'll do a little preview of training camp, the stuff we care about as we get ready for training camp, and then we'll go from there, man. So, y'all, for those of you that did tune in, I saw the two eyes that came on during the live pod, so that was cool. Nick, I don't know if you get to see that when you're on your side, but
No, I don't.
this side, dude, this side, it's kind of magical. I might need to have Adam let me do this more often. Anyway, brother, for Nick, I'm Roy and Adam. Stay above average.